Hey, Shalom, this is your brother Yawanathan. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakak Wadash. I want to give double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. I want to say Shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters who are pursuing this truth in sincerity. All right, may the blessing of election be upon your house. In today's lesson, I want to go into the fact that we need to be preparing ourselves to see miracles. That's what we're looking for. The Lord is going to override reality, the natural flow of things, the same way he did in Egypt. And right now we're in spiritual Egypt, as it talks about in Revelation. Actually, let me pull it up real quick. All right, we're here in verse 8. It's Revelation 11 and 8. It says, in their dead bodies, Salakia, and their bodies will lie in the... Let me actually... I'm in the wrong version, that's why. Okay. KJV here. All right, Revelation 11 and 8, and it says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city. All right, Babylon the Great, that future holding place, that future prison camp that was prophesied for the Israel to be oppressed together, Judah and Israel oppressed together. That's here in America. This is where the bulk of Israel is going to be delivered. And of course, from the various lands we've been scattered, but the bulk of our nation are here in the Americas. Revelation 11 and 8, from the top, it says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt. This place pushes the vibration of Sodom, of that ancient city, and it's also the place where we were held captive, much like Egypt. So this is spiritual Sodom and Egypt in one. All right, where also our Lord was crucified, because the way of righteousness is cast down here. America is the main corporation that the elites use to push a counter spirit to the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. This is the main nation that pushes that vibration out on the earth. They go all over the world, pushing democracy, pushing their way, polluting the spirits and minds of the people. All right? But again, the focus in this lesson is that we have to expect to see miracles. And to really understand that, you got to know the prophecies. You can't be looking at things with the eyes on your face. What do I mean by that? You got to be looking with your spiritual eye. Because if you're relying on looking with these in order to see when the Lord is moving and to discern judgment, you're not going to make it. Because looking with your carnal eyes is going to cause you to limit what's possible. All right, when you look at our people, just before the sea was parted, the Red Sea was parted, when they were escaping Egypt, because they were looking with the eyes on their face, look at their mindset when the Egyptians were chasing them, all right, as opposed to the mindset that Moses had, okay? It's showing you night and day the spiritual and the carnal perspectives, all right, when you're put in a tight situation, because we are going to be put in tight situations, all right? Exodus 14, and we'll just start at 10, get straight to the point. It says, and when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were sore afraid. And the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord. Now they cried out unto the Lord, but they had that fear on them. They had that doubt. Sore afraid. And they said unto Moses, because, and this what proves it. This what proves the doubt right here, verse 11. And they said unto Moses, because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? You brought us out here for this? Niggas. Wherefore hast thou dealt thus with us to carry us forth out of Egypt? Let's see how it reads in the NLT. I'm curious. Man, all right, Exodus 14 and 11 right here in the NLT. It says, and they said to Moses, why did you bring us out here to die in the wilderness? Weren't there enough graves for us in Egypt? What have you done to us? Why did you make us leave Egypt? So complete panic, lack of faith, and no trust in the Most High. So if you're looking with the eyes on your face, this will be your response when we're put in those impossible situations. We're going to be put in situations that seem impossible, looking with the eyes on your face. All right, verse 12. Didn't we tell you this would happen while we were still in Egypt? We said, leave us alone. Let us be slaves. And this is the mindset of 2/3 of our people. They just want to go along and get along and just have a piece of the pie here in America, when there's not going to be any piece to get. When on the other side of the coin, you have the elect who are rejecting this place. And we don't want a piece of the pie. We want the bakery itself. Okay, and that's what's coming to us if we continue on the course. All right. Verse 11 again. No, verse 12, Salakia. Again from the top. Didn't we tell you this would happen while we were still in Egypt? We said, leave us alone and let us be slaves to the Egyptians. It's better to be a slave in Egypt than a corpse in the wilderness. But Moses told the people, don't be afraid. Just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. The Egyptians will see you today. Salakia, the Egyptians you see today will never be seen again. And we're up against the modern day Egyptians. Esau's ruling. He's ruling right now, but it's for that little moment. This place is CTD. It's circling the drain. We're at the latter end of his kingdom. In the beginning of ours. We're at the end of this place, and we're at the end and the beginning. All right? The beginning of the kingdom of heaven. You know, and for Esau, it's the beginning of his hell. Because hell and heaven are living conditions, if you didn't know that. All right? Let's jump down. I'm going to switch back over to the KJV and jump down to about verse 18. So let's get this going here. All right, so this is Exodus 14 and 18. It says, and the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord when I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, when I've taken him down, upon his chariots and upon his horsemen. So like in that time, in our time, with all Esau's technology, all of his armed forces, his space force, whatever he has, it's going to be made as nothing. When you go to 2nd Esdras, the 16th chapter, I believe. Actually, let me go pull it up. It kind of illustrates for you the effortlessness that the Lord is going to use to completely decimate all of the nations and their militaries. Let's go pull that up and we'll come right back here, okay? Let me get it real quick. Salaki, it was the 13th chapter. 2nd Esdras 13, and we'll start at 6. But I beheld, and lo, he graved himself a great mountain. Now, this mountain is a chariot, okay? And flew upon it. But I would have seen the region or the place whereabout the hill was graven, and I could not. It was so big he couldn't see the beginning or end of it. It blotted out the sky. And after this I beheld, and lo, they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid. So when you go to Joel 3, it talks about the nations being gathered in the valley of Jehoshaphat, Jehoshaphat. Okay? And the Lord's going to intervene in the midst of that fighting, in the midst of that war. Okay? All they that were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. The Lord's going to put the spirit on them to fight, even though they're sore afraid. You see what's interesting is what we just read in Exodus, the 14th chapter, when the Egyptians were pursuing Israel, and that big body of water was right in front of them. They were so afraid looking with those carnal eyes. But the Lord reversed it and put that great fear upon the enemies of his people. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But this great fear isn't for us to have. We're supposed to stand in boldness and confidence in the Lord and trust that he's going to get us out of the situations that may arise. Okay? Let's read verse 8 again and we'll continue on through. It says, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid, and yet durst fight. Because the Lord, again, he's going to put the spirit on them to fight. The same way he hardened Pharaoh's heart to even pursue the Israelites in the first place. Okay? And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, out of that chariot, as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. So that concentrated fire completely decimates. It's going to say it decimated all the armies below. Blast of fire out of his lips and a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. All right? And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight. and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and the smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. So Ezra was seeing this vision of the complete destruction of all the armies and militaries and the technology that this devil had built up to this point to fight against the Most High. And he saw the effortlessness of Yahweh Shai. Just that fire coming out of that chariot. All of that they had decimated. Child's play. And for the brothers that watch, anime, One Punch Man. In the anime One Punch Man, they build up the villains to be this impossible opponent. They just spend the whole episode building up the villain to be this insurmountable obstacle. But then at the end, Saitama, the main character in the story, which for us it would be Yahweh Shai, just comes in, one punches the guy, one hitter quitter. Just completely decimates this person that was built up to be so big. The same way Esau has been fattened up to be this insurmountable foe. But at the end of the day, we know it's not so. See, in that show with One Punch Man, there's only a few people in the show that actually know how great or how strong Saitama, the main character, is. Most people look at him as a regular guy, but there's a few of his closest friends. You're my friends if you do whatsoever I command you. A few of his closest friends that actually know how powerful that he is. Everybody's going to be put on notice on how powerful our power is here soon. But right now, the villain of the story is being built up to be this insurmountable foe. And if you're looking with the eyes on your face, that's how you're going to perceive this man. But if you're looking with your spiritual eye, you know that you got Yahweh Shai backing you up. The same way he backed us up in the deliverance from Egypt. When we go back and read this, you'll see there was a chariot hovering over them, protecting them, watching over them. And who was in that chariot? Yahweh Shai. He's always been there with us. He's always right there. Okay? So you'll see all these examples in the scriptures of people looking with their carnal eyes and then people looking with the spiritual eye. That's why you had Joshua. They went to spy out the land, and you had the other spies who was like, oh, we're grasshoppers in their sight. But Joshua was like, no, we good. It's right for the taking. He understood. He was seeing with his spiritual eye when he was spying out the land. But you had those other spies who were seeing with the eyes on their face. And again, if you're looking with the eyes on your face, you're not gonna make it, man. Okay, let's go back to Exodus where we were at. All right, Exodus 14 and 18. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord when I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. It's going to repeat itself, but in a bigger fashion in our time. Verse 19. And the angel of God, which was Yahweh Shai in that chariot, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of the cloud went before their face and stood behind them. So you have that big body of water, which, when you ever been to the beach, if you go out a little deep, you have an undercurrent. If you go out too deep, that undercurrent, you really feel how small you are. That undercurrent will pull you, man. People drown every year because they go out too deep. They just out there playing, and that undercurrent is so strong. Once it pulls you in and you get under that water and you're spinning, you can't tell which way is up or down. And people get pulled into that water, man, to where they can't get out. You realize, how majestic and big the seas and the oceans are. But the Lord, to him, is nothing but like a puddle. Less than that. It's a drop of water to him. Let's read. And I got an example. I got a precept I just thought of too, but I'm gonna finish reading this and then I'll make that point if it's still there. Verse 19. And the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. So he's behind Israel. Israel's right here. Then you have the big body of water. Then on the other side of the chariot, you have the Egyptians pursuing them. And the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood behind them. And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel. And it was a cloud of darkness to them. So he had it to where pitch darkness all of a sudden formed to where they couldn't make out where they were or what they were looking at. But it gave light by night to these. So it was like a bright light on the other side of the back side of the chariot is making it pitch black for the Egyptians and they can't see. But the front side of the chariot is complete brightness to where the children of Israel, they can. All right. So that one came not near the other all the night. So it wasn't just like this quick thing. It was a period of time that was passing while all this was going on. And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night. And because there was a huge multitude of people, they didn't cross in an instant. They had to take their time to get across. So a period of time was passing while all this was happening. All right, to go back by a strong wind all that night, it made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. So the Lord superseded reality. All right, the natural course of things for the Red Sea would have been for the current to flow as normal, but the Lord superseded the natural. He superseded the norm to where he divided the waters so that our people could pass. That's a miracle. That's what miracles are, when the Lord disrupts the natural flow of things. Divine intervention so that a purpose could be fulfilled. That's what we're to expect. It's written that it's going to happen. Do you believe it? That belief is what's going to get you to the other side. That belief is what's going to allow you to endure unto the end, that you might be saved. We know a bunch of precepts, yeah, but it's going to boil down to whether you really believe it or not. And it's going to take prayer. Pray for more faith so that you can move accordingly. But again, if you're looking with the eyes on your face, you're not going to be able to do it. You got to look with your spiritual eye. All right, back to Exodus 14 and 22. It says, and the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon dry ground. And that in itself, the cross took faith. And the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. So in some historical documentation, they'll try to spin it as to, or maybe the waters, it seems as though they subsided. And there's this movie. There's a movie that was maybe that came out like 6 or 7 years ago. Can't remember who the main character was, but they had that depicted as though the water subsided and then a big wave came back. No, it says it split and there was a wall on each side. Okay, so the Lord did it like that. So even when you're reading it, it takes faith to be like, whoa, he really. You'll never see that. There's instances where you might see, the sea tide might get low and then it'll come back. People try to fit this book and the things that the Lord did. They try to fit it into their carnal perspective. Can't do it. Again, that's why I'm bringing up the point. If you're looking at things with the eyes on your face, you won't be able to move the way the Lord is going to require for us to move to receive salvation, to finish the course. All right, verse 22. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. And the Egyptians pursued and went in after them to the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. And it came to pass that in the morning, watch the Lord looked unto the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and of the cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians, and took off their chariot wheels, and they drave them heavily, so that the Egyptians said, let us flee from the face of Israel, for the Lord fighteth for them against the Egyptians. And the world is going to realize that again, but in a bigger fashion, like it talks about in the book of Jeremiah, that the Lord is fighting for us. So I got one more verse that I want to read to you guys in the 15th chapter, in the next chapter. It described the splitting of the Red Sea. It's something that was insignificant to the Lord. Like it wasn't something that was a major task for him to do. The power we're dealing with is what I'm trying to illustrate to you. For him to do these things, to get us out of these situations that are seemingly impossible to our flesh, it's nothing for him. There's no reason we should have any lack of confidence, any doubt that he's going to get us out of the things to come. All right, this is Exodus 15. And I'll just start at 4. It says, Pharaoh's chariots and his hosts he has cast into the sea. His chosen captains also are drowned in the sea, in the Red Sea. The depths have covered them. They sink into the bottom as stone. Thy right hand, and you can use this when I kept mentioning to you guys that was Yahushua in that chariot. Yahushua sits at the right hand of the Most High. When he talked in the scriptures, talk about, and I would use my right hand, he's talking about using his son. So here it lets you know who was in the chariot, okay? Thy right hand, O Lord, is become glorious in power. Thy right hand, O Lord, hath dashed in pieces the enemy. And just take this into account. Think about this. Yahushua, when he came in that last carnation, he knew who he was in his past lives. He knew what he did. He knew that he was the one that even helped deliver Israel out of Egypt in the first place. Think about the self-control that you had to have dealing with those niggas, man. Knowing, oh my goodness. Me and you, we couldn't have did it. He was the only one that could have did it. You see? So yeah, he is to receive reverence, bro. You got camps, you got people who teach in Israel that Yahushua isn't to be shown reverence. Even though the Lord tells you that we're supposed to show the Son reverence. In Psalms 2, I believe, it says, kiss the Son lest he be angry. It's just a little side point, but let's continue on here. Verse 6 again from the top. Thy right hand, O Lord, is become glorious in power. Thy right hand, O Lord, hath dashed in pieces the enemy. The same way he's going to do upon his return. And in the greatness of thine excellency, thou hast overthrown them that rose up against thee. Thou sentest forth thy wrath, which consumed them as stubble. And with the blast of thy nostrils, the waters were gathered together. Now, earlier I mentioned that the oceans, the strength, and to us, is such a big, majestic body of water, man. It's called the blue whale effect. When you realize how small you are. All right, O Jacob, thou worm. But to the Lord, these oceans are like just a drop of water. Because when you think about somebody being able to move water with their nostrils, they just breathe out and they can move. To us, that would have to be like a little drop of water or something small. You know what I mean? So to the Lord, that was nothing but breathing to him. It's him to do something so supernatural to us was just him being him, just him existing. He is, bro, confidence in our power. We must have it. All right, verse 8. And with the blast of thy nostrils, the waters were gathered together. The flood stood upright as an heap. And the depths were congealed in the heart of the sea. So, just a quick lesson before camp. I'm going to try to get a quick nap in before camp. We'll see. But Abaratazah, the lesson was edifying, man. Don't look at things with the eyes on your face. We're a spiritual people on a spiritual journey, and the Lord is going to do some supernatural things that this body, this chain of darkness can't perceive. All right. So pray that the Lord allows you to be seeing things in your everyday life with your spiritual eye. All right. So with that being said, I want to give all praises once more to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. I want to say shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters who are pursuing this truth in sincerity. All right. May the blessing of election be upon your house. Shalom.